This is Qtv News and I am Jennifer Sonko. Thank you for joining us. First, the main local, international and sports news headlines. His Excellency Adama Barrow has appointed Mr. CDKM Keita as Minister for Trade, Industry, Regional Integration and Employment. The Chief Justice of the Gambia on Monday presided over the official opening of the Made in Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara Moot Court competition at the University of the Gambia. The High Court today referred to the Supreme Court the Defense Counsel's application to the court for Yankuba Toure to be discharged from facing a murder trial on the grounds of immunity under the 1997 Constitution. A Gambian association in Norway has presented 14 laptops to the National Library following a campaign in 2017 by the National Assembly member for Banjul North to revitalize the library. In international news, November 2nd is the International Day to End Impunity for Crimes Against Journalists. The importation of used cars from the European Union, Japan and the US has become a lucrative business in Africa. We will take a look at the health hazards. In sports, a pre-season tournament organized by Birkama Youths and Sports Committee saw West Coast Region 3rd Division outfits, Misra United and Soccer Boys share the points. Those were the main stories, and now the news in detail. Do stay with us. Thank you for joining us. His Excellency Adama Barrow has appointed Mr. CDKM Keita as Minister for Trade, Industry, Regional Integration and Employment with effect from today, 2nd November 2020. Mr. Keita holds a double master's degree in Business Administration and Financial Management from Edinburgh Business School, Heriot-Watt University. He recently had a postgraduate diploma in Financial Strategy from said business school, the University of Oxford in the United Kingdom. Mr. Keita, until his appointment as minister, was a Director of Finance Department at the Islamic Corporation for the Development of the Private Sector in Jeddah from 2011 to date. He first joined the corporation in 1999 as a young professional core team member and rose through the ranks. In the Gambia, Mr. Keita worked at the Accountant General's Department and the Gambia Civil Aviation Authority, where he held various positions to the level of Chief Accountant before he left for a World Bank-funded health project in 1998. Now, the Chief Justice of the Gambia on Monday presided over the official opening of the Made in Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara Moot Court competition organized by the National Human Rights Commission. Antumana Esonyasi was there and he fastened this report.
Moot court competitions are a common practice in universities across the world and mostly serves as an opportunity for law students to engage each other in a practical court setting, which enhances their knowledge on law and human rights as well as court procedure. This event has been highly applauded by officials of the University of the Gambia and the Human Rights Commission, as it is the maiden edition and is named after the country's post-independence leader. Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara has been widely acclaimed for his role in the drafting of the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, also known as the Banjul Charter of 1981. Addressing participants, the Chief Justice of the Gambia, Hassan B. Jallow, who also served as Justice Minister under Sir Dawda from 1984 to 1994, says the initiative is important and will enhance students' understanding of human rights, and he implored them to strengthen Sir Dawda's legacy.
We have a champion. We've named this competition after truly a champion of human rights who deserves this and who deserves much more than this. So it's a fitting tribute to Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara. One of his legacies, of course, is the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. He was the driving force behind that.
Emmanuel D. Diouf, the chairman of the National Human Rights Commission, and Yvonne Masara Kufa of the UN Office of the High Commission on Human Rights expressed their delight at supporting the Sir Dawda Jawara Moot Court initiative.
The National Human Rights Commission believes that this moot competition will continue to nurture the values of Sir Dawda Jawara and popularize the Banjul Charter and other regional and international human rights instruments among law students at the Faculty of Law.
It is our pleasure and obligation to support the National Human Rights Commission implement its mandate to promote and protect human rights in the Gambia. It is also our pleasure to support the University of the Gambia in building the capacity and the knowledge of the University of the Gambia students.
On behalf of the Jawara family, Papa Fall, grandson of the late Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara, says the family is grateful to the NHRC and the UTG for celebrating his grandfather's legacy.
She believes that your participation in this competition will significantly contribute to upholding the legacy of Sir Dawda Jawara for an Africa where there is respect for the values and principles of human rights and democracy.
Professor Henry Alisigwe, the Dean of the UTG Law Faculty, says the UTG welcomes this initiative, adding that it will help enhance student skill before admission into law school, and thus urge them to take it seriously as the NHRC intends to make it an annual event. 8 teams comprising some of the brightest law students at the university are expected to take part in this maiden edition, with the final scheduled for December 10th. The event was also attended by former First Lady, Lady Chilal Jawara, and commissioners of the Human Rights Commission, amongst other dignitaries. Ansumane Soenyasi for Qtv News.
The High Court of the Gambia today referred to the Supreme Court the Defense Counsel's application for Yankuba Toure to be discharged from facing a murder trial on the grounds of constitutional immunity in the 1997 Constitution. QTV's Mamudu Lamin Choi attended the hearings and he files in this report.
The State vs. Yankuba Toure murder trial today witnessed a much-awaited significant ruling on a constitutional matter emerging from an application before the High Court. The Defense Counsel had urged the court to discharge the accused on the grounds of what he claimed to be his constitutional immunity, which is guaranteed by the 1997 Constitution. The Defense Counsel relied on provisions of the 1997 Constitution, submitting that it prevents any court of law or body in the Gambia to inquire into alleged crimes committed by members of the then Armed Forces Provisional Ruling Council, of which Yankuba Toure had been a member. For the defense, the application sought to invoke a constitutional right of the accused, arguing that the High Court lacks the legal powers to try his client, but instead should enforce the claimed immunity right. The principal state counsel in his representation told the High Court that the 1997 provision on constitutional immunity refers to acts carried out by the junta members and their appointees in their line of official duties. He went on to tell the court that the applicant did not provide sufficient facts to demonstrate that the alleged murder was committed as part of his official duties. Relying on this ground and other judicial precedents on a similar matter, Counsel for the State urged the court to dismiss the application to invoke constitutional immunity, describing it as premature. The judge, Justice Ibrahim Ajete, issued his ruling in the application, citing that the High Court lacks the legal powers to interpret or enforce the provision of the 1997 Constitution, on which the accused had relied on for his discharge. The application has now been referred to the Supreme Court for determination. This means proceedings on the murder trial of the State vs. Yankuba Toure will be on hold, pending the Supreme Court's ruling on the admissibility of a discharge based on the claimed constitutional immunity. Mahmoud Lamin Choi, QTV News.
A Gambian association in Norway has presented 14 laptops to the National Library following a campaign in 2019 by Usman Silla, the National Assembly member for Banjul North, to support the revitalization of the library. Omar Pijalo has the rest of that.
The formal appeal for support to the National Library was the outcome of the meeting the National Assembly member for Banjul North, Honorable Usman Silla, had with the management of the Gambia National Library Service Authority in October 2019. During a visit to government and private institutions within the Banjul North constituency, Usman Silla appealed for help to enhance the state of the National Library, which is facing many challenges. The appeal is slowly but surely being heard. Handing over the laptops to the Director General of the Gambia National Library, Usman Silla, said the support is facilitated by Omar Drame, a Gambian based in Norway, through the Association of Gambians in Norway. Honorable Silla renewed his appeal for more support to enhance and upgrade the National Library to meet the demands of students and researchers.
In terms of the infrastructure, you can see the deteriorating condition of the buildings as it is situated within a swampy area. They have challenges in terms of their operations. You can see that we are now in a digital world, digital age, and that's still a challenge. The National Library Services have started to have what they call library automation, digitization, and to access to internet for researchers and students.
Receiving the laptops, Madam Ramatullah Othman, a board member of the Gambia National Library, expressed delight while calling for more support to address the infrastructural and operational challenges confronting the National Library.
We are still making an appeal for more support to be given, right from the end of government, private, and those in the diaspora. This is coming from the diaspora, but internally, we want to see something being done to support us.
The Director General of the Gambia National Library, Matilda Johnson, highlighted the need for providing training for library staff and the relocation of the library to a better location.
My own appeal is to the private sector. Pura, I am calling on you. The banks, the internet providers, we need your help because we are all in partnership, public and private. We cannot always be pouncing on the public and not talk about the private.
The Gambia National Library, located in a swampy area in Banjul, is deteriorating at an alarming rate. The facility is faced with an acute shortage of space for both staff and service users.
Nobody is well placed to assist the National Library than us Gambians. We should take the lead. So I am also appealing to you. Whatever you can give to the National Library, by way of equipment, by way of finances, whatever you can give, please, I am appealing to you. And also to our governors, our regional governors. We want land in all of the regions for a regional library.
The importance of a well-functioning national library to the development and progress of a nation in terms of literary collection, history and knowledge, coupled with an informed and educated population, cannot be overemphasized. The Gambia National Library was a gift from the British government to the Gambia in 1976. Reporting for Qtv News, I am Omar P. Jallo.
We will go for a short commercial break, and when we come back, the news continues with some more local news stories. Do stay tuned. Welcome back from that short commercial break. If you're just tuning in, this is QTV News. Now, over $600,000 worth of personal protective equipment and other items were presented to the Gambia Police Force by the German Police Support Team.
The donated items include medical equipment, face masks, sanitary items, hand gloves, among other things. Presenting the items, Robert Nerud, head of Project German Police Support Team in the Gambia, said such supplies are important to the work of the police as enforcement officers, adding that they are also helping to provide training to the GPF, which starts today.
Beside the challenges that the Gambia has to meet, even the corona pandemic is causing even more challenging and causing very difficult times, not for you, but worldwide, and particularly as Germans at the moment. And therefore it is my message to you, you can count on us as partners in difficult times. We undertake everything to make it possible, considering and respecting the hygienic measures that we all need to take to resume our trainings, which happens today.
Ibrahim Abba, Assistant Inspector General of Police, stated that the relationship they have with the German Police Support Team has been cordial and fruitful for many years. The IGP also challenged participants being trained by the German Police Support Team to take advantage of the training.
The purpose of selecting you is for you to have the training and then go back and share with your colleagues back home in your stations or back in your stations. You have been selected across the country from the traffic division and of course from the police training school, the trainers from the training school. And then I can assure you this component will also enrich. They just talk about new curriculum we are going to develop for the PTS. The one we are using now is obsolete and it needs some adjustments. Of course, having a traffic management component updated will be very, very timely.
The commander of the police academy, Mohammed El Sonko, expressed delight in receiving such valuable materials from their German counterparts, but adds that the JPF still faces challenges.
PTM we have been using for decades, since 1984. It's been diagnosed, synchronized, thoroughly dissected, and we're going to change it for the better, so that the Gambia police can stand shoulder by shoulder with any other police officer in the world in terms of sharing of experiences and standards, professionalism, execution of duties, credibility, dedication to duty, respect for human rights and the rule of law, so that we can have good governance in the Gambia. We have challenges. We have challenges, and these challenges are going to be tackled by ourselves, not anybody else.
The police are empowered to ensure the safety, health and possessions of citizens and to prevent crime and civil disorder. The donation and the training provided by the German police support team will in no small measure help the police to carry out their duties. Answane Sonyase for Qtv News.
We will take another short break, and when we come back, we will take a look at international and sports news. Do stay tuned. Welcome back from that short commercial break. If you're just tuning in, this is QTV News. In international news, November 2nd is the International Day to End Impunity for Crimes Against Journalists, observed annually to draw attention to the low global conviction rate for violent crimes against journalists and media workers. Moot has the rest of that.
On November 2nd, 2013, two French journalists, Ghislaine Dupont and Claude Vernon, were kidnapped after interviewing a local political leader in a town in northern Mali. Shortly afterwards, their bodies were found outside the town, riddled with gunshots. The following month, the United Nations officially proclaimed November 2nd the International Day to End Impunity for Crimes Against Journalists. Between 2006 and 2019, according to reports, close to 1,200 journalists were killed and many more were injured, tortured, kidnapped, illegally detained, intimidated or harassed in both conflict and non-conflict situations. But only a small fraction of cases have been reported as resolved. Some estimates put the overall impunity rate at a chilling 88%. Impunity breeds impunity and feeds into a vicious cycle where perpetrators of such crimes are emboldened, realizing that they can attack their targets without ever facing justice. Even amid the COVID-19 pandemic, when the free flow of news and information is more essential than ever, attacks on journalists have been on the rise in many parts of the world. This year's Global Impunity Index, which spotlights countries where journalists are singled out for murder and their killers go free, bears out the worsening situation. In this country, the murder of the journalist Dede Haidara in 2004 became a cause célèbre for many human rights activists around the world. The case for long remained shrouded in secrecy and rumor until some witnesses confessed to killing him at the TRRC and blamed the ex-president for giving the order. And other testimonies have also implicated the former president in the deaths of two other journalists, Chief Ibrahim Mane and Omar Barrow. Indeed, a gruesome catalogue of press censorship, imprisonment and torture of journalists has been emerging from the TRRC hearings. The Gambia of Adama Barrow is a far cry from that of his predecessor. Yet 4 years after the proclamation of a new Gambia, the draconian laws introduced to suppress free speech under Jammeh are still in effect, and the security forces in their relations with journalists and the public generally is still an area that needs reform. In marking the event, the UN Secretary General said, "If we do not protect journalists, our ability to remain informed and make evidence-based decisions is severely hampered. When journalists cannot do their jobs in safety, we lose an important defense against the pandemic of misinformation and disinformation that has spread online." More generally, all forms of attacks on journalists and other media actors constitute attacks on democracy itself. The media became significant with the rise of democracy. Little wonder across much of the world, authoritarian regimes try to suffocate press freedom by any means necessary. And powerful non-state actors with things to hide have also been in on the act. As we mark the day, many journalists are behind bars, and many high-profile murders of journalists have not been solved. Mahmoud Hussein, an Al Jazeera journalist, has been held without any formal charges in Egypt. The case of Jamal Khashoggi, the Saudi journalist killed inside the kingdom's consulate in Istanbul in 2018, is still unresolved. In Mexico, Syria, Afghanistan, and even Ghana, the situation is worrying. Shooting the messenger does not kill the message, where attention should be properly focused. To protect journalists is to protect the truth. Today also coincides with All Souls Day, a day for prayer and remembrance for the souls of those who have died. For QTV News, I am Mamadou Mbodj.
Now, the importation of used cars from the European Union, Japan and US has become a lucrative business in Africa. The venture also contributes millions of dollars into the Gambia's economy. It also brings in more than just money. Here is the report.
Between 2015 and 2018, 14 million used cars were exported from the European Union, Japan and the US. Around 80% of these cars went to low and middle-income countries, including those in West and North Africa. Without regulatory standards to benchmark the safety and quality of imported cars, all type of cars, without considering roadworthiness and age limit, end up in Africa. In the Gambia, it appears vehicles are imported into the country no matter their age or condition. As a result, the situation seems to be contributing to not only air pollution, but also a rise in the number of road accidents. Many of these imported cars on our roads do not look as if they would pass the stringent roadworthiness test in their countries of origin. The Gambia's Ministry of Transport has seemingly not implemented any policy on the age limit of vehicles imported into the country. People have complained that the tariffs on imported newer vehicles are expensive compared to old ones. Perhaps lowering the tariff on newer vehicles can promote the importation and buying of vehicles that are in better shape and better for the environment. With Africa accounting for the highest number of annual global imports of used cars, air pollution poses a major health risk caused by carbon emissions. The level of air pollution is also aggravated by fossil fuel emission from power plants. Even without scientific data, one just has to stand along any road cars belching out thick black smoke, which cannot be good for the environment. 3 neighboring East African countries illustrate how much impact regulatory standards on car imports can have on local air pollution levels. While Uganda has a 15-year limit on the age of car imports and Rwanda has no age limit, in Kenya, there's an age limit of a maximum of 8 years. Hence, with cars in Uganda and Rwanda typically much older, fuel consumption and carbon dioxide emission levels in Kenya are 25% lower on average compared to its 2 neighbors. In search of a successful model for regulation, African countries can look to Mauritius, where only used cars, which are not older than 3 years, can be imported. The island nation has also set up fiscal incentives for residents who drive vehicles with low or no emissions, and the tactic is yielding results. The country is recording a major increase in imports of used hybrid electric vehicles, UNEP reports. Several African countries have set up automotive policies to boost local car production and reduce vehicle imports. However, the timeline before these policies fully take effect and impact import levels suggests any possible benefits remain far off. Some African countries are taking an alternate route to cutting emission levels. In 2016, Nigeria, Benin, Togo, Ghana and Ivory Coast moved to raise the quality standards of imported fuel after samples taken from gas stations across 8 African countries showed sulfur levels 150 times higher than the permitted European limit. For the Gambia, there appears no appetite to protect the public's health or the environment. Otherwise, the majority of these vehicles would be off the roads. It is quite common to see cars driving at night and with one headlight or none. As the trade continues to be quite lucrative, for the moment, it seems to be a case of wealth over health. Mahmoud Lamin Choi, Qtv News.
In sports, a pre-season tournament organized by the Birkama Youth and Sports Committee saw West Coast Region 3rd Division outfits Misra United and Soccer Boys share the points, drawing 2-2 on Saturday at the Box Bar football field in Birkama. Momodu Gajaga watched the game and he fastened his report.
A star performance by Kalilu Sise, whose brace gave Misra United a 2-0 lead, a score that was leveled in the second half after a Navi defense twice proved shaky. For much of the first half, Misra United controlled the game with beautiful positional football. Joseph Mendy missed a close effort at the near post. Mbake Kijera missed another before Kalilu Cisse scored with a well-taken shot in the 33rd minute, giving Misira United the lead. The team's goal machine Kalilu Cisse didn't disappoint at the second time of asking, just 2 minutes after the restart. He ran into the box, beating 2 players before slotting the ball into the net for his double. Soccer boys, knowing fully well they were 2-0 down, knew it would take a change in approach and performance for any chance of a comeback. It was not long before there were glimpses of hope. Soccer boys had better runs, passing, and more goal-mouth efforts in the second half. Dominic D. Morris reduced the deficit in the 52nd minute. After some improvements in their style of play in the second half, attacking with flair coupled with a shaky Misira United defence, Ibrahim Ajasi levelled the scores in the 73rd minute after a defensive mix-up. Despite scoring twice for his side, Kalilu Cisse was not happy with the result.
It's not very much convincing because scoring 2 goals while my team do not have the 3 points, it is just like nothing, because even though we have 1 or other team maybe score 1, we have the team 3 points, I think that would have been better. But I will thank Allah for the 2 goals. I think we have more games to go. So we have to come again, prepare for the more games and see what we will have from it.
Suleiman Koli says he was impressed with his players' performance as he prepares for the new league season.
Yeah, anyway, the game, one thing I want to say is just a short period. Because when we get the information of this fitness tournament, already we were on this corona outbreak. But with all that, we accepted the invitation and then just make a short preparation. Because as you can see, we are a 3rd division team. So this is our first game since from corona. But I am very much impressed the way the boys play.
It was a hard blow for Palamin Nyasi as his side gave away a 2-0 lead.
Anyway, it was unfortunate, but it's all about football. We were able to score 2 goals, before they were able to come back and equalize the 2 goals. And then, as you can see, we scored a lot of goals. So I think my observation is when we go back to the training ground, I think we're going to improve on what has happened in the game, and then I think from there, exactly to prepare for the next game coming.
First division sides Brikama United and Fortune are among the sides featuring in the tournament. Mamudu Gajaga, Qtv News.
Before we end this news bulletin, let's take a quick look at our main headlines. His Excellency Adama Barrow has appointed Mr. CDKM Keita as Minister for Trade, Industry, Regional Integration and Employment. The Chief Justice of the Gambia on Monday presided over the official opening of the Maiden Sir Dawda Kairaba Jawara Moot Court competition at the University of the Gambia. The High Court today referred to the Supreme Court Defense Counsel's application for Yankuba Toure to be discharged from facing a murder charge on the grounds of immunity under the 1997 Constitution. A Gambian association in Norway has presented 14 laptops to the National Library following a campaign in 2019 by the National Assembly member for Banjul North to revitalize the library. Over $600,000 worth of personal protective equipment and other items were presented to the Gambia Police Force by the German Police Support Team. In international news, November 2nd is International Day to End Impunity for Crimes Against Journalists. The importation of used cars from the European Union, Japan and the US has become a lucrative business in Africa. We looked at the health hazards. In sports, a pre-season tournament organized by the Brikama Youth and Sports Committee saw West Coast Region 3rd Division outfits Misira United and Soccer Boys share the points. Well, that is all we have for you in this edition of QTV News. Do join us at 10 for another bulletin. Thanks for watching.